Three,
Three,
two,
two,
one.
one. Let's
Let's
go!
go! I'm the host of the PV podcast, Troy Tittlemier, joined with the co-host, the one and only, the better half, Joselynn Tittlemier. Thanks for co-hosting today.
You're welcome, babe.
Today we're sitting down with Iulian Hulea. Sir, please introduce yourself, maybe say your name properly, but please give us like an elevator pitch, right? Who you are, and just a few minutes. Like when you meet somebody at the SPWLA and they say, "Yeah, nice to meet you." Like, who are you? What's your take?
So you already said my name right. So I am Iulian Hulea. I am a Romanian that became Dutch. I'm a physicist and I am a saturation height modeling enthusiast, integrated reservoir modeling. I am a founder, so I am an independent consultant these days. But before this, I was working with Shell for a long time, and before that, I was studying in the Netherlands. I live in the Netherlands. I am a huge fan of science in general. I see myself as a critical thinker. I like a little bit of a challenge once in a while. I like to be also a little bit controversial sometimes, and I like to have a laugh sometimes. And in between all these things, I do my best to stay healthy, to have a healthy lifestyle, do a bit of running, and I am I don't know, one of the biggest fans of the SPWLA. SPWLA is my home, so I don't know what else to say, but there will be a very short summary of who I am.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
It was spot on. That's what we talked about today. And one thing I wanted to ask you before I get into like what dropped out for all of us in this show was, your interesting development through school and into undergrad and all to your PhD. What was it about this kind of life experience and the philosophy that you started having as a young adult and getting into your PhD that you really thought was very beneficial for your professional career at Shell? Like what did you learn as a young kid that you felt was beneficial for you as a professional?
I will have to say that it's a little bit more philosophical, is that kind of critical thinking and don't believe what people are saying, see what you can validate. So do not assume that people are malicious, but make sure that you check things yourself before you believe them. So
Wow.
in principle, that will be my number one thing that has helped me professionally, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
So every group you got involved in, every project you kind of got involved in over 20 years of being in a big company, every time it was a pretty general approach as far as just be critical about what even the problem is, where does all this even exist, question everything.
Yes. Try to figure out, like, so in Shell, what we used to have, like at the beginning of a project, it's a framing. So you need to understand what the problem that you are trying to resolve is. And that is stage zero, where the critical questions are coming. And then make the difference between what people say and what people do, because they are two very different things. Yeah. So,
Wow.
in Latin, they say verba volant scripta manent. It means that the words are flying away, but what is written stay. So it's along the same lines.
Oh,
People
wow.
might say something else than what they do.
Wow, that's interesting to compare that to like the SPWLA, and that gives you this opportunity to make publications, to make writing actually stay somewhere. Julia presented this poster in 2016 or whatever it was, and it stays there. It's in the archives, So that's an interesting tie to what the importance of SPWLA and what it's doing as an organization since the 50s, right? 59, it started to collect these thoughts and ideas that people had, whether they were critically thinking about it or not. It's a place to put, instead of your words just flying away in a meeting somewhere in some project somewhere that never gets captured, SPWLA gives us a place to put that in writing and lock it in.
Yeah. We are busy building a legacy, right? It's like, and that's what people before us were also doing. We are just following on the same trail.
Wow. Wow. Well, what dropped out for me from this show from a technical standpoint was a couple of things. This semiconductor thing, this carbon-based and inorganic or the silicon kind of classical conventional based way of allowing, computer chips and how phone screens work and all this stuff that we see today, how it actually happens. And you have options. You have two very different options, a very rigid, predictable option, and then this very flexible, literally, and, in the chemistry and the physicalness of it, it's very flexible. I thought that was fascinating. I tried to tie graphene into it because I'm a fan of that. And of course, that's a major innovation potentially that can make a real difference in the world. So I tied that in. That was fascinating to me. And then your saturation height modeling and how you actually figure out what this rock is, where the fluids are, and how the most important part of this, yes, the rock, everything's important, but it's really this density difference between the hydrocarbons and the brine component in this reservoir that have an influence on the capillary pressures, which is the influence of how this fluid's going to actually get out of that rock. And then how can you maybe manipulate it so you favorably get the hydrocarbons over the brine component out of the rock, right? Like that was where my brain kind of went with the technical side of this show. And then the philosophy side, right? The life side, the motivation side, staying critically, focused on things, right? Critical mindset and how to prepare for a run and how to stay healthy, how to stay motivated. Meditation, right? I feel like, oh, I'm meditating. I'm sitting at a red light, just kind of thinking like, no.
It's you dozing off.
Let's get into this, real clarity, this real mindset that's important for all of us. And so I just appreciate you being transparent and sharing that and being vulnerable and your experiences and what you've done from a technical standpoint, but for sure as just a person and your commitment to the SPWLA. I'm sure you've motivated so many people along the way. Anything that dropped out specifically from your perspective in the story? It's your story, so maybe you're just telling everything like you normally do. But
Can I add something new before?
Sure.
Listen. I wish I was smart enough 30 years ago to understand that people also have inertia. And inertia, it's something, inertia is very important in mechanics, right? It's like in how objects move and so, but to understand that people and their behavior have inertia will have saved me a lot of pain on this path. So I only wish I understood this, I don't know, 20 years before.
inertia is the concept that this object has the ability to move, and you can kind of like pre-predict how it's going.
So it has momentum in one direction, and it's not like just because you tell it now move to the right that is going to move to the right. It already has a plan and a path, and it applies to the way people behave. It applies to the way people act, and it's
Wow.
so it's not only physics. That's all I'm trying to say. It has more profound implications.
Sure. Wow.
So
I
that
love
was the
that.
last thing I would rather tell you about.
I love it. I'm glad we struck a chord there in the show that kind of made you sum that up in that way.
Nice.
That was cool. We do all have a path. Babe, what about you? What dropped
I mean,
out?
everything that you spoke about, but the whole AI, how it's not allowing us to be critical thinkers. It's kind of how Iulian said it. Kind of you like decay. You're not letting your mind, that side of your mind, like think.
Yeah.
You're kind of depending on AI. So that definitely stood out to me because I've always thought the same thing. That's why I would.
Really?
When ChatGPT and all that first came out, I was like, I don't want to depend on. I mean, I'm a stay-at-home mom, right? I don't really know. I don't need too much critical thinking. But there is things that I'll get on there and I'm like, okay, I could just figure this out on my own. I don't have to. So yeah, that was like the main thing. And then the discipline, like you don't wake up motivated to really, like, we're human. We're tired. We don't sleep. If we don't sleep well or whatever, we don't wake up motivated. It's just a discipline that's going to keep us driven.
Yeah.
And so that's what stood out to me the most.
Thank you.
Pretty good. Okay, so the Stay Positive book, what happens here is I just randomly spin through it and you tell me to stop. I'll stop exactly where you tell me. And then we're going to read a couple of quotes. And I want to hear how it kind of lands on you from thinking back personally or professionally. Go ahead. Tell me when to
Stop.
stop. Oh,
Stop. Stop.
yeah.
Oh,
Nice,
yeah.
nice and early. Okay, here we go. This one's haha. And you saw that was totally random. There's no way that this is just totally random. But here's what it says. Mental toughness is knowing that your identity is not defined by your performance or outcome. You are loved no matter what. What do you think?
I, uh, I, I believe that is true, but not by everyone, right? There will be
Right.
a subset of people that will align with that, and a bigger subset that are polarized in the opposite direction.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Okay, here's what no matter what happens today, remember you might not be able to control all of your circumstances, but you can control how you respond to them. Please look for the good, trust in a bigger plan, respond instead of react.
That
Yeah.
that is very wise, and I wish I have that cool approach. Sometimes, yeah, I'm one of the people that is losing his patience. If I already know an answer, I will not have the patience to listen to somebody explain me how they found that answer.
Yeah. I definitely don't have that patience. And Troy does. Troy won't react. He'll respond and he'll talk about it. And so I've learned from him, but I still don't have it down. I definitely react. I react. So it's wise. It is wise and to follow.
Nice. Okay. Well, I loved it. I loved the show. I enjoyed spending this time with you, and I look forward to staying connected through Strava and what we do there. Obviously, the training regimen along the way to Po France, but also just your technical stuff too. What you're doing as a consultant, this research you're up to. I'm definitely going to be following you and paying attention to what you post on LinkedIn even more and other social media platforms that we can help with. Anything else before we drop and call this a show?
I also have a book. I'm reading more than one book at the same time. So
Oh,
can you read this? Do you see
yeah,
the title?
just giving why philanthropy is failing democracy and how it can be better.
Bob Rich.
Bob Rich,
Yeah.
the author. Wow.
Okay. It's a fantastic book. So if you are looking for a summer reading, think about this one. And then another controversial book that I'm reading, but this one I reread. Now I read it in Dutch, but it's like from Christopher Hitchens. I don't know. Have you ever come across this guy?
No.
Mm-mm.
Now uh, the translation is God is not great. It's
Ah,
one of my favorite books. So if you are ever looking for a fantastic book, try this one in English, or the other one is also fantastic. So since you brought your positive book, those are also positive, but in another way. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Yeah. Wow. That one sounds pretty interesting to definitely get how you define that and how you get into those weeds. That sounds really good. Okay. Last thing before we go, then, just for fun, the picture behind you. When you see that picture, what does it remind you of? Why is it on your wall? It's in the background of all your videos. Like, what is with this picture?
it's a painting. It's a painting and is made by an artist called Marcus van Soest. He even had an exhibition in New York.
Oh,
So
wow.
this is his interpretation of good and bad. So
Wow.
somebody that is both happy and evil, and I have more of his paintings, and I love his art in my house with the multiple eyes and the crooked fingers, and but
Wow. The growing chingazo or whatever you call this thing.
yes, and
Wow.
the eyes and this turning things. But he's a special guy. So he's made like at least three paintings, and now he's making me another one.
Really? So you
But
actually
you personalize, like he does these for you.
Yes, Yes,
Wow.
I pay him to do that. So, but this is quite big. It's like 1 meter 20 by 1 meter or
Yeah.
so, and this
Yeah.
is made on wood.
No
It,
Wow.
kidding.
yeah, it's a heavy
Um,
thing. I'll
That's
send you some other time pictures of the other ones. It's like the most amazing. So I have this in my house already for a couple of years, and every day I'm in my living room, I am happy that they are hanging here.
wow.
Uh, Julian, we're going to get started with the conception part of the PBE podcast, right? I'm joined by co-host Joselynn Tittlemier for the first time since 2019. What have you been up to this whole time? I don't even raising kids.
Being a mom, yeah.
All right, rooting
I
for
don't,
dad.
yeah. Yeah, and Troy's like, we'll take a break at an hour. And I'm like, you think I have more than an hour? I don't. We have the kids in the background.
Yeah, but it's a special show.
It is.
We have Iulian, sir. How do you say your last name?
The right pronunciation will be Hula, but it doesn't really matter. As long as I know you're referring to me, it's fine. So actually,
And
most in the Western world, most of the time people will call me Hulea. That's a lot easier to.
So
But
right,
it's
otherwise,
hula.
Hula,
Hula.
Hulea. So there is an E there as well, Hulea. But it doesn't matter. As long as I know, you're talking to me. Oh,
that's funny. And Iulian, right, is how you pronounce the first
correct.
name. Iulian.
Correct. Iulian is a Latin name. So it's a little known fact. So Romania, it's in that part of the world is the only Latin speaking country. Like around us, there is like all kind of Slavic, Hungarian, and so on. So Romanian, we have a direct connection to Rome.
Okay. So
So
yeah, talk to me about your parents. Let's rock it back. This is the conception part of the show. Let me, before that gets started, I'm going to say, look, this is who Julian Hulea. I would say that's how I would say it, how it's written. Sorry if I totally botched that. Julian is a physicist turned petrophysicist with a PhD in organic electronics, which was a fascinating rabbit hole that I dove into before the show, which we'll talk about. How do you say the university's name?
Leiden.
Leiden, that's easy. Leiden, 2000 to 2004. So that's interesting. You were getting a PhD. You were at Leiden University when the millennium happened, when the internet was supposed to crash and everything was chaos.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, we all remember that. Okay. And a postdoc at TU Delfts. Is it Delfts?
Delft, yes. It's it's
Co-
it's only like 50 kilometers away. It might sound like another universe, but here in the Netherlands, everything is nearby.
Nice.
and which is the Kavli Institute for Nanoscience. Before pivoting into oil and gas, he spent over 19 years at Shell, 2006 to 2025, rising from research petrophysicist to senior subject matter expert in saturation height modeling, SHM, and ultimately serving as president of the SPWLA while at Shell. In October 2025, he left the corporate world, found GPPA, which we will talk about your consulting in a bit, an independent petrophysics advisory consulting firm, essentially. He's published 11 papers, is an SPWLA distinguished speaker in 2015, 2016, and is described by colleagues as a true scientist. It's an honor to share time with a true scientist. Appreciate your effort and your dedication to the science and helping to articulate that and pave the road forward by giving back to the SPWLA, which is what it's all really about for us. So please, let's rock it back. Who are your parents? How did you become that man?
Now, so I was born in Romania. I was born during the communist times. When the revolution came in 1989, I was 14 years old. So you might find it hard to believe, but I might be a more capitalistic person than you are, since I grew up under communism. One of the funny statements I like to repeat always is that in theory there is no difference between theory and practice. In practice there is. Now socialism and communism, they look good in theory. In practice,
Wow.
I don't think they do. So I was born I was born obviously at the hospital. So, but I grew up in a little village, like 20 kilometers away from a little town, like I don't know, 25,000 people. That's where I went to high school. And after high school, I went to Bucharest to study physics. Bucharest will be like 400 kilometers away from where I grew up.
Wow. So you were going into your undergraduate, you were leaving your hometown for the first time, going to an undergraduate in physics, 400 kilometers away from your family.
Yeah, yes.
And
So
how,
but that is quite normal, right? So you are kind of Romania is a Latin country, so the families are a little bit more nuclear. So people don't really leave home like in the Western world so often, right? So
okay.
like I left home when I was 18, which is quite normal for the Western world, but for Romania it's still a little bit unusual. It was in those times a little bit unusual.
How did your parents get you into that? Did you have some kind of family members that were physicists or chemists or in the science world and engineering? Like, how did you even, yeah, how did you not become more of like a hands-on construction and like, or something totally different, right? How did you get into physics at such a young age?
Now that's a very very funny question. I'm the first one in my family to go study. My family and my parents, they were always like working like physical work and in factories and so. And from the moment I realized I started to have a conscious, I realized that I don't belong to do that kind of work. And then in the secondary school, so you understand, so in Romania the schooling system is cut in three big tranches: 1 to 4, 5 to 8, and 9 to 12. That would be the high school. In the secondary school, I was exposed for the first time to physics, and that's when I knew that's it. That's it. That's what I was like right away. I could understand everything immediately, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed to resolve problems related to physics. So it
Wow,
was
you just picked it up.
it was really something that you might call love at first sight. It's like it was that easy. And then in high school, I had the luxury to come across an exceptional teacher. His name was Ionica Mircea. Absolutely, he blew me away, and he was a challenging individual. And when I started the high school, the guy will do like on Saturdays. Saturday, of course, it will be a free day. He will bring us to school out of his own time to teach us extra, and of
Wow.
course, I will always be there. So those are the kind of people that it's absolutely a legend. But
Wow.
I ever since I discovered physics, there was like something. It's difficult to explain. It felt natural. I now looking back, I am sorry that I didn't do enough effort to understand and work on chemistry, because
Ah.
chemistry is very close, but still is like it feels like alien to me. Still, physics, everything is like natural, but chemistry. So yeah, so no history in the family. And now, funny enough, since we talk about history in the family, I have a daughter. Her mother is also a physicist, and yes, you guessed it, she's not very much inclined into the physics problems. She's much more languages, and so I think it's just a dice game. So
Wow.
Roll the dice. You don't remember, you don't have any stories of a great grandpa or a great great grandpa that did something with physics. He built this boat that everyone got on and went and fought in a war, like anything
man,
like that.
oh man, it's like if I'm thinking about my ancestors, let's say my DNA, I think they were struggling with whole other kind of problems. It was more along, let's say, the survival kind of problems.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
That was the
yeah, it
least of
was
their
it was a
worries.
different kind of life, and also during the communism. Yeah, it's the communism. I told you, like in theory sounds good, but in practice, it's like you will think that everyone gets chances, and no, of course not. It ends up being this kind of elitist double triple standard system when only the chosen ones can go ahead.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting because you got to elect like people who have a little bit more power in the system, right? And then that little bit more power to someone, it starts to get taken advantage of, and kind of naturally like you become biased in things. And so in theory it's good, but in practice, like and there's no way to control that, right? There's no way to keep
Of course.
monitor that and micromanage every little detail, right? Yeah.
Of course not. Don't forget that if you are a communist or capitalist, it doesn't matter what you are, power corrupts. So I mean, it's only natural what happens, but without the checking mechanisms, yeah, it goes off the rails.
Off the rails. Wow. It's kind of it's interesting in science and like applying, right, as geoscientists now, like in your career, and you're doing this saturation height modeling. Like in theory there's so much that you can kind of paint the picture to and tie it to petrophysics and core logs and all these other things, but at the end of the day, how is it actually applied out in the real world when you go to frack or stimulate and you get that well back? And why was that well so much more oily than a well right next to it that seemed to be the same? So it's a similar thing. When theory is applied in reality, you got all these other things that are really in control. And so I don't know. That was a connection I made.
So one of my important learnings in this industry is that the level of assumptions people take in this industry, people assume that when you throw something in the model, if you were to interrogate the model and ask back what you gave it, you are going to get what you gave it. But it is not. Of course, it is not. And that's where like I seen significant failures as a result of that.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
so
Very interesting.
assumptions.
Yeah. So you get into a bachelor's degree, you meet kind of the first mentor in physics. That was during your was that during high
High
school?
school.
That was
I,
high school.
yes, yes,
So how
yes.
much did he kind of pay, like show you how you go from high school into a degree in a university? Was there a major connection that he had? How did that
No,
happen?
absolutely not. It was just natural. I mean, by the time, let's say I was 14 or 15, like after the first year of high school, I already knew what I wanted. It wasn't a discussion. I didn't have any questions about it. I knew that's what I wanted. And back then, yeah, the Bucharest University was the most famous and the best university in physics. So yeah, there was only one thing to do: go and have an exam there to be admitted.
Wow. So you had to take a test to even get qualified to be a student at that school.
Yes, yes, yes. So that during those times, that was like the normal admission method. It doesn't matter really what kind of marks and so you have. Every time you show up and you have an exam, and I still believe that is the honest way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, you find out who the Julians are of the world versus people who are just pounding their heads against the wall. Which those you need those people in the class too, right? People that just have brute motivation to just get through a problem. But it's the natural ones that you're talking about, which certainly encountered in undergrad and master's degree. People that just got it. They can read a calculus
They
book,
get it.
and yeah, they understand what it is. Like what, like that's who you're reminding me of, and you guys were the ones that were kind of the student kind of helpers, right? Like where beyond office hours with the professor, I could go to a student like Iulian and say, "Hey, I need like a couple more hours on one thing. I'll pay you a couple hours of your time. Sit down and help me through this problem in physics, inertia, or whatever it was." That I was like, I don't get it. I didn't have those genes of just getting it. I was the guy that was like, there's a wall, I have to break it, and I'm going to do that, and
Yeah.
I'm going to whatever the teacher says, right? Just all in. So anyway, that's interesting that you had such a different experience. You were so just level headed, and you just knew, and you were naturally talented in this subject. You were just at a whole nother level at such a young age. It's so powerful. That makes sense why you spend 19 years at Shell eventually, right? But before we get there, you got a bachelor's degree. In bachelor's in physics, there's not like you're going to go one way or the other, right? You're getting your general kind of understanding of all of it before you go off into a master's.
Now, that's another funny thing. So, in Romania, in the education system in Romania back then, you didn't have bachelor system. You had to study 5 years to have a degree in physics, right? So that was 5 years of physics, and out of the 5 years, like 2 years, they were spent on a specialization, right? Or let's say a very narrow field in physics. And in my case, it was semiconductors. After the 5 years, you do a master. So you understand
Wow.
so then when I was done with my studies, I went to a university to the south of Berlin, Cottbus, and that's where I spent like a year to do my master thesis.
Wow. So 5 years to get kind of through physics, which was
Yes,
almost
Two of like specializing in.
two specializing, then one following it gets you a master's degree, and
yes.
then you go off and get a PhD.
Yes, yes. So, but it's not as complicated as it sounds. It's like if you will ask me now, will I do it again? I think it's a brilliant experience, and
Yeah.
to like the PhD and to learn to do research by yourself. And I don't know about you guys, but I have in me this kind of insatiable curiosity. I always like to know. So, for example, when my daughter comes home, she tells me something, and 99% of the cases, I will ask why. Why? Why? It doesn't matter what it is. If it's something that is not obvious to me, or something that, if something makes sense, it makes too much sense. If something doesn't make sense, it doesn't. So there is always a why. So, and that's something I try to instill in her, that curiosity, and don't always ask why. Why? Why is the most important thing you will ever ask? Why? So
Man, so why did you end up getting a PhD in organic or carbon-based semiconductor work?
So now we have to rewind a bit. So this will be around 2000, right? In 2000, around 2000, there was a Nobel Prize. I don't remember right now the precise year. There was a Nobel Prize awarded to the discovery of the metallic polymers. So polymers is plastic, right? And plastic is usually an isolator. So I can't remember, it was a Japanese guy, an American guy, and anyway, there were like three guys that figured out that by doping, I don't know if you guys know what that is, by
No.
introducing some impurities into a material, you can turn it from a semiconductor or insulator into a metal. So in the moment that discovery happened, that created a whole new field, and that will be like the organic electronics. Now, the organic electronics, they have huge advantages over the conventional ones. First of all, think about space application, lightweight, flexible. So polymers, they are one of the most disordered materials you can ever imagine, which means that they are not so fragile. If you are looking,
Rigid.
if you are ever looking like a wafer of silicon, if you hit that one hard enough, it's going to blow apart.
Break
So
like glass.
yes, it is in the big part glass, but glass still will be a little bit more disordered. But yeah,
Disordered
so
than pure silicon?
yes, yes. Glass is still. I have to go and check what is the latest in literature. It's still something that, in very very slow fashion, it reshapes, so it kind of flows. Of course, you cannot see that, but
Wow.
it's reorganizing.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
but so there was a moment, and there was a lot of research becoming available in that field, and I love semiconductors. I think the biggest discovery of humanity until now, it was the transistor. Now I don't remember the year, like 47, 50, something like that. It was at the Bell Labs. They discovered the transistor. Without the transistor, guys, we are not going to be able to do this, and we are not going to be able to do a lot more than what we do. So I think the
Wow.
transistor was the biggest discovery of humanity, if you ask me.
So
So
can
now,
you simplify that real quick? Because a semiconductor is a material that transfers electricity from one side to the other, and a transistor does what?
so a semiconductor is a material that, if unless you manipulate it, is not going to conduct electricity. And what a transistor does is, like, by the use of the third gate, what is it called, a third electrode, you can modulate how much electricity goes from one electrode to the other one.
Oh,
And that's why you can amplify, reduce, and that's the strength of the transistor.
wow. So a transistor is a throttle control of the electricity to the semiconductor that's going to go send the
True.
signal to turn on
Yeah.
video, turn on
Yeah.
microphone amplified.
Yeah. And it's not linear. That is also important. It's not a linear response. So
Wow.
transistor. So that's where I got into this organics. So I don't know if you know Philips, the electronics company, not the
Of course.
of Philips and so now Philips were the ones that were the sponsors of my PhD. So
Oh,
the,
nice.
the subject of my PhD thesis was electric polymers, but for light emitting diodes. So back then, whatever we have right now in the phones as a display, it was a dream. So my research, it was part of that. It was part of that dream. So to have
Wow.
organic, so the polymers, the organic electronics, they have another advantage. You can print them really. So you don't need to grow them or to purify them. You really print them pixel by pixel, and that is like from a production point of view, it's a huge advantage. Lightweight
Wow.
and yeah, so
Easier to make, lightweight, flexible, had all these things, but it doesn't transmit the, what is it called? The charge, like mobility. It's weaker than the silicon and these other inorganic or so-called inorganic things.
Troy, if you were a child, I will say go and study physics. You have the right feeling about it. Okay, it's never too late. Don't get me wrong,
That's right.
but you just hit the nail there, right there. The mobility of the charge, it's a lot poorer in this disorder media, right? It's intuitive because it's disorder is going to be a lot more difficult to go than in silicon where everything is ordered. So
Yeah.
of course, these are going to have, let's say, poorer performance from another point of view, but still, they are going to be doing the job just fine.
Wow. Have you ever asked the question, why is it referred to as organic semiconductor? Why the specific terminology being used of organic and inorganic?
It's organic because it's like the molecules are organics, right? They are carbon, hydrogen, right? It's like some of
Yeah.
these polymers, they are organic molecules. They are long, so they are organic molecules. They are not inorganic.
But
Inorganic will be
these things
individual.
are, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Or inorganic will be individual elements, right? But the moment you start having methane and those are already referred to as organic, right?
Yeah, it's carbon based, and the biosphere is carbon, oxygen, hydrogens. So it's organic structurally, because it's carbon based. But for me, inorganic and organic starts to imply that this this semiconductor that you're making out of either carbon based or not, it has something to do with life. Organics is like, well, it's
Mm.
mimicking something that life actually naturally makes. The hydrocarbon molecule and the way hydrogens and carbons are associated in that molecule are mimicking something that nature has made in the biosphere, but it doesn't mean that's what, it's just a confusing kind of term to me,
I,
the
I
organic side.
I see what you mean. I see what you mean. I never looked at it that way. So there was, I don't know, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, it was this idea and dream that, pretty much like with AI now, you are going to be able to make this kind of devices that self-replicate and they are able to, so let's say the fundamental idea about organ is like, they are not alive, but if you tell them, maybe, right, that it was an idea. So
Wow. Wow. That's pretty wild to think about.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are your thoughts then? Because I threw it out to you this morning, and of course it was like this wild curveball. But graphene, this idea that you have this single atom thickness material on Earth. It was discovered in like 2004, something like that, where it's the only single dimension uh, like structure, or a two-dimension structure. It doesn't have a third dimension like the way silicon like will cluster crystal, like the crystal structure of that thing that's transmitting the electricity. This thing is a single plane, and it's supposed to emit electricity way faster than any other material. And I was thinking, how could you mix this in if you have these amazing capabilities of carbon-based semiconductors that can flex and they can do all these great things, but it's a chargeability problem? Is there a way to mix in this graphene and what they're doing with the tubes, and a way to fix the complexity that you said on why it slows down and why it doesn't have this charge mobility capability like an inorganic based semiconductor does? What are your thoughts on just that in general? Is there an opportunity there?
So I don't know enough about it. So it's like I was leaving Delft as that graphene was picking up momentum, and I know that there are like mountains of research done on it, and I will not be brave enough to make too many comments about it, but I know that they are used for all kind of quantum processes, and
Right.
I was just checking quickly what will be the most interesting semiconductor application for graphene, and apparently if you have a silicon wafer and you grow that material, that graphene on top of it, it becomes on silicon carbide actually, it becomes a semiconductor. The moment you have that as a semiconductor, that is shown to have a mobility of 10 times that one of silicon. So that was the most interesting thing that I could find. Again, I didn't do proper research on it, so I don't know how correct that is, but it sounds amazing if that is correct.
Sounds fascinating. Yeah. I can't wait to get in the completion part of the show where, we're doing this podcast from two physical places on planet Earth at the same time. And then if this was the future when you were getting your PhD and you were providing the ideas of how you visualize this and how can we even do this in real time. You see it now, we're working on it. What is it going to be like in 50 years from now? Are we going to be all in like a virtual room where I could like actually touch you a little? Like, hey, I don't even. It's crazy to think about. I want to talk about it in the completion part. Thank you for sharing your PhD and kind of getting to the point of what a fascinating subject that you've mastered and you've specialized in. And you say you didn't like chemistry. You don't really like chemistry, but man, that really gets into some chemistry pretty quickly. Silicon versus a carbon based, and like how that actually works. There's some serious chemistry in there. How do you get from that to 19 years at Shell?
Now, that is a very easy question. So at the end of my PhD, I didn't want to go and work for in the electronics world. I made the miscalculation there. 20 years ago, I thought that the Chinese and the Asia is going to copy everything much faster than the Western world can develop it. And I didn't see any future in it. So I didn't see ISML becoming what it became. So, and then I thought, now what else is to be done? So I had some connections at Shell. A former colleague of mine, his name was Isa. He was working there already. And through some people he knew, they were inviting me for an interview. They were looking for some physicists to see what can we do. And I went there for an interview, and yeah. The funny thing is like, so listen how dumb I was. So I was really excited about the semiconductors, and I was excited about all kind of other things, excepting oil. My interest in oil, I could not care, and it didn't really bother me that the interest in oil stopped at the pump. I will go take the pump, feel I mean, in my mind, I didn't even ask the question, but I had this image that, oil was in some kind of pool somewhere. I don't know. I don't care. But the thing is that I'm going to the interview, right? I mean, I didn't do any homework. It's like, I didn't know what petrophysics was. So I'm going to the interview, and there was a guy, his name was Bob Smith, a very, very kind guy. And he held a piece of core in his hand, and he said to me, can you imagine that up to 40% of this can be oil? And I said nothing. I said nothing because I didn't know oil was in a rock. Wow. Right? So I said nothing, yeah, and then we switched to something else, and what do you measure there? And fine. Then I go home, and when I get home, I Google, and what do I see? Jesus Christ. So you have in a rock, you have not only oil, but it's more complicated. You have water as well. So, and that was my first introduction to petrophysics and to the oil industry. Absolutely scary now to look back.
Wow, that's
Still,
fascinating.
still very funny though, I think.
So then you call them back and you go, "Hey, I want to figure this out. This has got my attention. Give me a job."
Oh, it's like Shell was a very, I don't know how to say it without upsetting anyone. They were a very process driven company, right? It was like step one, step two, step three. So after these interviews, then you still had to go through one interview, and then they will give you some options for some jobs.
Yeah.
So they were giving me then a first option for a job. They said, it's like you are going to have a look at this job. And then the first job was something that, oh my God, is like, whatever you will be like an asset petrophysicist, right? And like I was there for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and I went to my boss and I told him, this is not it. This is not for me. No, we need to have a look at something else. And then they transfer me into research, and then I ended up in an integrated research team for where we were working with petrophysicists, reservoir engineers, and geologists. So it was the carbonates research team.
Oh,
But
wow.
that was the path. So you can imagine that when I started, I knew nothing of this thing. So most of it will be through self education. I'm a kind of a self starter. So
Self-taught.
yeah, it's easy. If you are curious, it's easy. You only need to have a problem to resolve, and then it all goes natural. So
That's right. That's right. Wow. Okay. So this starts leading you down the path into saturation height modeling.
yes. So very quickly, like after starting this job in research, I came across some of the amazing people that I came across in Shell. One of them was Paul Hofstra. He was the first guy that was doing Python before Python was fashionable.
Wow.
Like to a level you cannot imagine, like theoretical physicist. Then there was a second guy, Ab van der Graaf. He was the one that introduced me into saturation problems and that. And then there was a third guy, Mirano Spalburg. All these three guys, they were petrophysicists. And somehow, in this time and in the interaction with them, I figure out that there are a lot of problems in saturation height modeling. Problems, inconsistencies, and then from there I started to zoom in one by one, and that's how I got into the saturation height modeling.
Wow. So let's break down a rock real quick, and then I want to hear how like you attack this. You have a carbonate. The carbonate is mostly calcium carbonate. Maybe it's got some dolomite in it. So you got a lot of magnesium, calcium, carbon, and a bunch of oxygen. That's the lithology. That's most of the rock. And then within this rock, you have this weird transition where all of a sudden you start to encounter like heavy hydrocarbons like asphaltenes and waxes, and then actual liquid oil, and there's kerogen, there's solid state hydrocarbon in this thing. Then water. You have water involved in this too. Gases being trapped. What tools did you have access to even start trying to recreate the real complexity of the rock?
So I am an office petrophysicist, right? So I'm not doing measurements myself, but in principle, what you have skull, special core analysis, right? And as part of the skull, you will be acquiring all kind of measurements. If you ask me, the most important measurements ever acquired on a piece of rock, they are capillary pressures. They are different kind of capillary pressures, and those tell you something about the pore system. There is a second component to that, like for example, when you go underground and you acquire some properties about your reservoir, you need to know something about your fluids. Now the fluids can be complex, right? They can be solid under normal conditions in the atmosphere, or can be liquid and gas, and so you have the rock, you have the fluids, and then on top of that you have like water that can have different properties depending on the brine concentration.
Right.
So
Alkalinity and all that stuff. For sure.
yes. So, but in principle, please remember this one. When people want to talk complexity, they say that the carbonates are the complex part is just because the pore system is very unpredictable. So sometimes the pore system can have like whatever they call vugs that can be the size of a fist, or
Yeah.
otherwise they can be the size of a fist and is completely encased into something that is inaccessible.
Right.
So that's the story. But in principle, capillary pressures are the answer, and that's why I find saturation height modeling interesting. The capillary pressures are the building block of that.
Wow. Can you explain, simplify to like a fifth grader level capillary pressure?
So in capillary pressure, look, if you take a tube, like I don't know how to call, I don't know the English name, like a narrow glass tube. When you
Yeah.
put that
Okay.
one in the water is going to rise to a certain level,
Uh-huh.
right? It's because the water is attracted to the glass, and because of the shape of the meniscus between the water and the glass, that is going to pull the water up.
Huh.
So
So you have
that
like a glass straw. You have like a bowl with water in it. You have a glass straw. You're going to push it down the bowl. The water's going to rise inside the glass tube
yeah,
and stay
yes.
at the level of the water outside the glass.
No. That's the whole point. Depending on
Ah,
the tube diameter, is going to rise higher or is going to stay lower. So as the
whoa.
diameter gets smaller, of course, the capillary pressures are going, the capillary forces are going to be stronger. So they are able to pull a higher column of water. And it,
Wow.
and it's exactly the same what you do when you simulate a capillary pressure curve. So in the process of measuring a capillary pressure in a skull, what you are doing, you start, let's say, with your sample fully water saturated, and then you start forcing hydrocarbon or a fluid that simulate that into your sample. And you do that by increasing the pressure on the phase that is invading, right? And you increase and you increase and you increase, and then you are going to push more and more of the initial fluid out. And that's
Wow.
the capillary pressures.
And so how do you measure that in a wellbore down at reservoir? Do you always have to have whole core to get your capillary pressure understanding?
So in principle, you need to have core, and you can also have like sidewall cores. And
Oh,
in
nice.
principle, you will have what is called MICP, mercury injection capillary pressures. They are done on much smaller samples, but still, ideally, I think in theory again, you can do them on cuttings as well. But
Wow.
right, but you still need to be sure which sample you're measuring or so. But so in the lab, you have different fluid combinations. They all suffer from different shortcomings and so, but
Yeah.
capillary pressure, the principle is the same in all of them. In
Is
the
there
in
sorry,
Sorry,
go ahead.
please. In the subsurface, in the reservoir, you cannot really do a capillary pressure, right? So that's why you are acquiring logs. So the logs you are acquiring, you measure, for example, resistivity, you measure porosity, and on the basis of those two, bingo, you are going to determine saturation. Now, saturation, when you are looking at it versus true vertical depth, you should be able to recover something that looks like a capillary pressure.
Oh,
So,
wow.
but it's not as simple. Huh? We are oversimplifying because now there are like two very different branches. Are you under primary drainage or not? Primary drainage means, is this the first time the capillary pressure has been going up, or has the capillary pressure also going down? So
Jeez.
there can be all kind of additional complications.
So in a perfect study in one that you have a lot of confidence in, is there a relationship between the capillary pressure data and like the way the well is going to have an oil cut or deliverability, like through like is there indications of possible permeability
Yes,
estimates because of this?
yes. So if you are looking on LinkedIn, there is a lot of discussion on the oil-water contact.
Yeah.
So if you have a uniform formation, right, everything is like textbook. The moment the hydrocarbon starts invading the pore system, you should be able to see that in the logs.
Okay.
in order to couple that to capillary pressures, you need a second parameter, and that is the free water level. And then once you have that triangle of properties, they should be matching each other, unless you are not under primary drainage. If you are not under primary drainage, all bets are off.
Wow.
So
primary drainage, huh? And what's secondary drainage? What if?
So, for example, if you have a seal breach, or for example, the hydrocarbon column has reached 100 meters, and then through whatever God miracle or stupidity, it doesn't matter, that hydrocarbon column is reduced to 50 meters. Now, that is not primary drainage anymore. That is imbibition.
Oh, wow.
So the capillary pressure has been going up and then is decreasing.
Wow. How interesting.
And that is still a struggle in our industry to understand that, to apply that. So
which one has more influence on your capillary pressure results, you think? Is it the saltiness, the brininess, the alkalinity, the material in the brines and how the brine is in the system, or more on the hydrocarbon side, a heavier oil, a lighter oil? Which two parameters influence your capillary pressure analysis more?
So you see, I was right. You will love physics. I'm telling you, you should try to. So look, you just nailed the two relevant parameters for this problem. One is the interfacial tension, how the two fluids interact with each other, like the let's say the oil, the hydrocarbon, and the water. And the second is their difference in density. The difference in density between the two, they create buoyancy, right? Buoyancy is what fights capillary pressure. So the saturation height model is just the trade-off between the two. But the interfacial tension, it also tells you, like, for example, how easy it is one to be displacing the other one, and so on. So they are both playing an important role. The IFT has a narrower bandwidth of properties, still important, but the density can be quite wide. For example, if you have heavier oil, you can have like 1 gram per cubic centimeter, while the brine is 1.05, 1.1. So
really close.
Yeah, so you see there the buoyancy is going to be almost absent, while for a gas, the difference is from 0.1 gram per cubic centimeter to 1.1. So it's a whole other game.
You know, thinking about that real quick before we jump into the SPWLA and like your career there, and I really want to get into the running and the 5K, what's happening at PO. We definitely want to talk about that. But before we get there, now that this conversation is kind of naturally drawn to the interesting fact that heavy oil typically has a brine component that is a very close in density brine. That's going along with it.
Density. Yes.
And then you have studies, which I think Shell was a part of a major one in Texas, where you see this rock and it is absolutely filled with millions and billions of barrels of oil, but it's heavy, and they just can't figure out how do you get that efficiently from the subsurface, even if it's at 1,000 feet, 1,500 feet. It just doesn't have the ability to move to the surface and get into the tanks, get the water out of it. It's just operationally such a problem. Are you on the cusp, or do you see a future where shallow, heavy hydrocarbon deposits that have this issue, is there a technology or a way to approach this that you can actually figure out how to get those millions and millions of barrels out of the ground faster than what we're currently able to do?
I wish I did. No, I don't. But so look, I don't know. Does the name Oliver Mullins tell you something? Like, okay, he's a fluids guy. He worked for Schlumberger for a long time, and so we have a research project precisely on this kind of heavy oil and oil tarmats understanding and modeling. So we have now a research project on that. But in order to extract this heavier, so what I was telling you about the density, and so it's only about how are they segregating in vertical sense, but that doesn't tell you something very important. What is the viscosity, right? Because the heavier oil, the viscosity is going to be very high, so it's not going to flow very fast. So, and that obviously is a problem because it's going to be bypassed by water. It's a pain, and that's why, like in what is it called in Athabasca, right? It's like where
Athabasca sands, man. Yeah,
they end up washing it, right, to extract
exactly.
the
Steaming
hydrocarbon.
it. They come up with all these crazy ideas where
So
major
when you
OpEx heavy.
yeah, so in that moment you are increasing the temperature. That's what you do. Is just so you reduce the viscosity, so you make
Mm,
it a little bit more fluid.
right. Yep.
So, but that is something also that is not very very well understood, like how to model those processes. So
Yeah. Well, it's fascinating because I think there's obviously a huge opportunity there. I mean, it was discovered a long time ago. It's been well understood that yes, there's shallow, heavy oil deposits around the world onshore. They're easy to get to, they're cheap to drill, but man, are they tough to get that fluid to move. And there's definitely it's not just about the physics too. It can't be just about applying heat and making it work. There's got to be a chemical aspect to this. I truly believe, and especially on the water side, is there a way to frack and put we're really good at that. We're really good at breaking rock and putting fluid in it and altering the chemistry of what's going on in this reservoir. So if you can do that in a shallow reservoir and somehow get the right chemistry to drastically change the density of the brine component that drives a physical reaction to the oil side and get that thing to really flow and without a bunch of heat, right? There's got to be something else maybe there. And that's, I don't know, it's just the way I'm thinking.
don't forget that the heat is kind of necessary to reduce the viscosity, right? Without that, you are still not going to be able to move
You can't
that.
over the brine component with a density change large enough can't overcome that peanut butter of oil.
No, the higher density is just going to help you maybe segregate better in the vertical sense, not with the lateral move.
Lateral movement. Okay.
So, and that's what you are after in that game.
Wow. That research sounds fascinating. Would love to be a fly on the wall maybe one day if we're crossing paths and you're hanging out and doing it. I would love to poke in on that. So, man, that was cool. That was a very interesting path of that 20 to now 40 years and, to combining academia and your professional career. Now you're switching into consulting, but let's rock it back a little bit in the professional career. You find oil and gas finds you. When does SPWLA, the organization, like
Oh,
enter your life?
I will have to think a little bit. I think like 2014, like 2015-ish, something. So I haven't been a member for a very long time. But the moment I went to the first SPWLA meeting, and that was it was in California.
Oh, nice.
Where was it?
Bakersfield?
No, to the south. It's a
Ventura,
Long
Ventura,
Beach.
honey,
Long,
Long
Long
Beach.
Beach.
Oh man,
Long Beach. So that was it. To me, I knew that I found my home. I knew it. So afterwards, yeah, I will go to other meetings, but there is nothing like SPWLA. It's like
wow.
to
Where were you
me,
living at the time when you went to your first SPWA in California?
ever since I left, I came to the Netherlands. I always lived in Leiden. I never wanted to go anywhere else.
You
So
never did your time in Houston.
no, and I'm not planning to. No offense.
Yeah,
None
that
taken.
she was born there.
Mm.
No, but it's like I don't know if you guys have ever been to the Netherlands. This Leiden place, it's a university town. It has the oldest university in the Netherlands, like 1600. It's
Wow.
like the place where superconductivity was is like, and I will send you afterwards some pictures so you have an idea. It's for somebody that likes running and walking and just enjoying life and a beer on a terrace once in a while. Yeah, well, I cannot imagine a better place.
Wow. Yeah, you made it sound amazing. So SPWLA California, was there a 5K at Long
No.
Beach? Ah,
No, no. So I will tell you. So now looking back, I found out that they did have some runs before we started this tradition in Stavanger. So the latest runs, we started them in Stavanger with Carlos Verdin. So he was back then the VP Tech. So we started that,
Wow.
but so there will be like some older guys that I know, and they were telling me that even so there was a symposium here nearby Leiden, actually in Nordwijk is the name, and that's when they had like a run on the beach with the
Wow.
SPWLA. So this is not really our discovery. I'm quite happy it is not, but we are still very happy to have it and to revitalize it.
Yeah. And you're the leader of that, or you have a committee that helps you with the run?
Oh
How does this?
no, it's just me. But you don't really need. You only need two legs and some shoes, and and Stephanie and Sharon to take care of the t-shirts, right? But the rest, no, it's really easy. We are a group of adults, and it's like it's all fun. We are not also not going to try and break Usain Bolt on the 400 meter. So it's
So generally, okay. So when was the first run that you did with the official first run for you at the SPWA?
Stavanger,
Okay.
and that was 21 or 20. I don't remember right now. Like 20, 21 or 22. I don't remember. It was the first after COVID.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
we did the first run, but now I have to make a small correction. When we were in Rio, the organizers, they were a little bit afraid to have the run outside of the hotel. I did my runs, and it was one of the most beautiful runs I had in my life. To run on the Copacabana when the sun was coming up, it's one of these things that my hair stands up even now thinking about it. But
sheesh.
but in Rio we had the workout on the beach. We didn't really have an official run, so I feel
Okay.
like such a correction is required. So
Well, now with Poe coming up, are you like mapping it out? Are you designing a course? Are you making sure that everyone at the organization is okay with what you're going to do and start inviting people to come on this run? It's going to be safe. You know, they're going to be historical landmarks, outcrops. Like, where are we running? Why are we running it? Have you thought much of the design this year?
so I must say I did not do a lot of thinking about that, but your points are all very good, and that can all be done. And I also like your idea about trying to have like some kind of warming up kind of training for the community to remind them. I'm also doing my best to post like some pictures of my running every once in a while on LinkedIn, although I'm not a professional runner. So
No, but it's motivating everyone around you to realize,
so
okay, it's coming, the run's coming. I better start preparing. Better make sure my running shoes are in my bag when I go to Po this year.
So no, I didn't do a lot of planning, but don't forget that here in Europe, everything is easy. Like about when it's about running, I never been to Po before, but I can guarantee that we can find a circuit wherever 5 kilometers, 7 kilometers to do that. Absolutely no doubt in my mind.
Are you thinking morning run, an evening run? What are your thoughts?
So in principle, we have been always doing the runs like and the workout in Rio in the morning. The evenings we have the social events. And I don't know if you've been there, but the social events are pretty important. They are like
Yeah.
the best
Oh yeah.
part of the meeting, so you don't want
Amazing.
to miss those.
Amazing. No, I that was my first international SPWLA when we did this media hub there at Po Front. I mean at Lake Conroe, and I've been to Image, Urtec, all the other ones, and the fact that it's a smaller 2,000, 3,000 type community, it was really cool. It was very intimate. You could tell that it was just very high level folks getting together and engaging with each other. I love that. It wasn't about partying and all that stuff, like and having a good time and kind of getting away. There was some real like engagement. And I love that about it. And then the way that Schlumberger and Halliburton and Baker Hughes kind of split the nights of allowing this such a great night event, like poured major amount of money into it, clearly had entertainment, everything was covered. Like those night events are just as important as the technical talks and poster sessions. Like at the international SPWA, I truly believe that.
I consider the social events as being like the catalyst or the oil that pushes further our society. I really believe that is the best part of our events. It's like,
Wow.
you have your discussions, you have your agreements, disagreements, and then you go and you have a drink, and then something changes, and you can push a bit further, or yeah, it's uh, it's
Right.
really is by far the best part. And you
Yeah.
see, it's like you have these parties. Yeah, they sometimes they last a little bit late in the night, but next day in the morning at 8 o'clock, it's not like that. The speaker is alone in the room. There will be plenty
Yeah.
of people. So yeah, we are
Yeah.
serious about the real reason we are there. But the community part of SPWLA, it's something that ever since I joined that first meeting, I wouldn't want to be part of anything else. Without any exaggeration, I consider SPWLA as being my family. It's like that feeling that I have towards them, and of course, in time you learn, you get to know a lot more people, and so. But from the beginning, I had that, just like with physics. So,
Wow. Now, are you presenting at the 2020, the 68th annual? Are you presenting a poster or a talk, or are you a part of any of the workshops?
of course, I will submit some abstracts. So, right. So the abstracts. It doesn't matter who you are. The abstracts, they are all going to be anonymized, and then they are going to be reviewed by the technical committee. We have a group of like fantastic volunteers that do that, and then as a result of that, there follows a selection process. And if you are selected, then yes, you are
Yeah.
going to do that. So I have like at least two research projects. One I submitted already, and I'm planning to submit a second one.
Nice. Awesome.
So,
Very
so
cool.
I am planning to be there, even if my papers are not going to be accepted. I am going to be there. Don't worry. It's like I wouldn't want to miss that kind of fun. So
Yeah, and the run. I don't know when the run's going to be. Oh, it can't be before the first technical day, right? You don't do it like the Sunday. You're going to do it on Monday morning or Tuesday morning or Wednesday
I
morning kind
think
of thing.
we always do it on Tuesday morning, because like
Okay.
on Monday morning we have the opening that starts a little bit earlier or so, and then
Oh,
on
okay.
Tuesday morning we have that. You cannot do it on Sunday because on Sunday people are not there yet, so
Right.
it's a little bit
Makes
yeah.
sense.
So we need a shoe sponsor for the event. I'll work on that
Mhm.
because some people might forget their shoes. So we need to get a shoe sponsor that's got some rentals that we can have there.
You can
Uh,
get blisters.
what do you mean?
Brand new shoes on a run.
All
Oh, it's
right.
only 5 kilometers. Come on. Life is too
Yeah.
short. You need a bit of pain to make it feel a bit longer.
Let's go barefoot then.
Yeah, I'm thinking going barefoot. I'm honestly thinking that it's so hot in South Texas right now. There's no way I'm running barefoot in the afternoons, but maybe in the morning I can start training barefoot running. What are your thoughts on that, by the way? Barefoot running versus in the shoes.
I love to run barefoot. So my running shoes, the normal ones, they are like the ones, the Vibrams and the Merrell. So with like very thin sole.
Okay.
Wow.
So I don't know. The Vibrams are the ones with toes.
Oh,
So
okay.
I promise you. So since I picked up running, I had normal shoes, and then I ran into lots of injuries. Of course, it was my stupidity because of the way I was ramping up. But afterwards, after like 2 years or so, I switched to the minimalistic shoes, and all the problems have gone away. Now, because in the winter it can be quite cold and wet, then I will use normal shoes, because then it's like it's here, it's not that cold, but because it's wet and so, it's like you are going to be really be freezing early in the morning.
Right.
But those
So,
minimalistic shoes, I swear by.
wow, I'm gonna definitely look into that. I'm gonna Google the companies that you mentioned and look into minimalistic shoes.
I'll send you Merrill. I'll send you the name. Don't worry. I just
Great.
bought two more pairs. So
These conventions, it's interesting to think about. There's kind of a psychology experiment going on right now in my head because if we can get majority of the community to say, you know what, I'm going to run this year, right? I'm going to this event. There's a 5K run. It's good. It's healthy. It's first thing in the morning. It's going to spark something in your brain that Monday doesn't have and Wednesday's not going to have. You're not going to run before the event. And there's something to be said with waking up early, getting out on a run, and kind of that clarity that you get to when you get to the level of like, this is painful. I don't really want to be here. And your brain's like, well, you're going to continue. So you're just going to like turn that off. And there's something about the mentality, that mental state that you get into with the run that I think is going to have a maybe a profound impact on the whole community that day when they go to the technical talks and they go to the poster sessions and they go to start really learning things and integrating and right connecting dots, and from their perspective their mind's going to be it's going to be more clear, it's going to be kind of washed because of this run. Do you agree?
Absolutely. It's almost like you read my script, like the how I feel after my workouts. So I run every day, but
Wow.
like every day when I wake up, I don't feel every day like running. But the point is like, is to have the discipline and not to ask the question. And once you're out, you're out. And then the next stop is like when you come back inside and you feel great and you feel sharp and you feel yeah. And then the I will even dare to add the cold showers as well. I'm a huge fan of the cold showers. So the running combined with the cold showers, now that is like, if that doesn't really switch on something in your brain, then I don't know, maybe you're not alive anymore.
Yeah, I
I
think
feel that.
promoting the idea that the 5K is it's for fun. It's a community thing. When people go out together, large group of people, they run together, they hang out after, and it's a community thing, and that's very powerful. The SPWLA is all about engagement. It's about the community. It's a very, very powerful thing. But if we can somehow promote and motivate that this year we're going to break the all-time registration record for the fun run, the 5K run. And everyone from now, whether you're sitting on the couch and you never ran a day in the last several years, which is me, like recently, I just started running again. And I feel very good. I feel a different level of energy throughout the day, and how to like the afternoon crash is different. Like it's really eye-opening to me that yes, the discipline and getting up and going for a run, and it's so easy to say no, I'm just going to get to work. Nope, I'm going to go for that run. I feel different. I feel a mind clarity difference, and that's what I really want the organization to experience and why they're signing up for this. It's a community thing. It's to sweat it out with everybody. It's to high five at the end. You did it. You ran 5K. It's an accomplishment. It's an award. But beyond that, it's how do you feel the rest of the day, that day at a technical conference where you're just overwhelmed with so much information and you're just mentally exhausted at the end of these conference days. But I want to talk to people about how do you feel at night. All of a sudden they're up with the band and they're like full of energy, right? These people that typically aren't that way at the night conventions, at the social event. Now, how do they respond to that? How does that whole day really go because of this 5K thing that you've designed and that you're pushing ahead?
So, you know what? Change doesn't happen by itself. Change is expensive. It costs energy. It costs like people's pride to agree with somebody else. So why don't we, the two of us, start that, right? I mean, you will be a very good example for that. If between now and the symposium, you are going to increase your run load from 0.5 runs a week to like 2 runs a week, I mean, this is something that we need to negotiate, me and you. But my point is like, change happens when each individuals agree with it. And maybe you are going to be a good example for that,
Yep.
right?
I,
So just think about it. I'm doing my running. So, but I can be very, very motivating and also a little bit of an annoying person if I start to harass people once they promise something. So
that's
careful
right.
what you promise.
Good friend, keeping you accountable.
That's right. That's right. It's part of the community, keeping us all accountable from an intellectual honesty, but also just this, fundamentals
Yeah.
of lifestyle and longevity and health and
No,
clarity.
there is no better tool of convincing someone other than showing what you do yourself. I believe that. It's like, again, there is theory and there is practice. Now, practice always beats this kind of thing. So no, no,
Wow.
no, no doubt. I can even send you like some motivational videos. It's like not
I
with
would love.
me.
Oh man, no, I want to see your motivational videos.
There are already guys that already say what I think. Like, I don't know. Do you know? Have you ever come across what's his name? Goggins, David Goggins.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Now, like 30 minutes of that, 30 seconds of that guy when you feel a little bit low, and well, I don't feel that low anymore. So I have like two of those. It's David Goggins, and then there is another guy that is called Self-Help Sing. That one. Now that guy is like he's a comedian. So he's a comedian, and he's like his story is like okay, I will send you some videos. His story is like. Bosses are stupid, working is stupid, you just enjoy life. So,
Right on.
so that's self-helping.
We got to get some motivational videos going. I'm gonna task you with this because
I don't wake up motivated. I just wake up disciplined.
it's a discipline thing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's
So
motivation.
tell me then, so how would you explain him, Troy, what discipline is like?
Well, he has discipline in other aspects where I lack, and then vice versa, right? So I feel like he knows what the discipline I think it's a want when we want it versus, I want to be
A marathon runner.
right. I am a marathon runner. I want to be this, like I have this vision of myself and who I am, and Troy does too, but we're two just total opposites. And so our disciplines are totally different on different aspects. But
How do you
he's
like when you get to training? Like you're training for a half. Like
right.
you get up, you don't feel like running.
Yeah, no, I don't. I wake up and I'm like, well, I have to do it. I have to. It's just discipline.
It's like you put pressure on yourself because you know this half marathon's coming, so that's like pressure.
Yeah, I guess but I mean, I've just within the years of training and being a mom, I've always been an athlete since a very young kid, and but then when I became a mom, I kind of lost that athleticism to being a mom, and then I found it again when I had our second child in 2020, and ever since then I haven't let it go. And so it's just like a discipline. I wake up and I'm like, well, I have to be a better person for myself and for my children, for my family. So that's just how I'm driven. That's just that's how I am.
Yeah,
I understand. I
Mhm.
understand.
the 5K that you designed, and what we talked about, and at being at Lake Conroe and saying, you know what, I want to do that. I want to run the 5K, and man, it's been so long since I've ran a 5K. It's been 10 plus years easy since I've run a full 5K, and I just now I have this motivation and I have this like accountability because I'm telling Julian like I'm gonna run it and I'm gonna train for this. And it's a motivator. It's like, oh, I have to go out and do it. My back is sore, my knees,
Discipline,
whatever.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
I feel like Julian says, you wake up and you're not motivated,
Right.
but you just know you got to get it, you got to knock it out, and then you feel better after, and you get into
Yeah.
your cold shower.
No.
My theory is like, don't give yourself options you don't have. And
Hmm.
that is not an option you have. Once you promise yourself something, please remember that that person is the most important person, like yourself. I mean, without that dignity, I don't know what you are. So once you promise yourself something, yeah,
Right.
what we're gonna do.
Hmm.
So
I
from now, go ahead.
So to be honest, I do offer myself a choice, right? It's not so I offer myself the choice if I want to run at lunchtime and do the meditation in the morning or the other way around. So I do have that option to swap them, but otherwise that's all the freedom I got.
So the idea that the 5K is coming up, where does someone have to be on a mile like per minute to hang with you the entire 5K?
I promise you, as long as you keep running, I will be with you. Speed is not the point. The point is to do it, not stopping. Speed is the least relevant thing. Look, there are people that are winning the marathon in 2 hours. Unless you are going to try to win that marathon, what? Do you really think it matters?
No.
You do it
No.
for yourself. You do it for your own health. So, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm also goal oriented. So I'm starting at like 13 and a half minute miles. I know 10 plus years ago, I got down to the 10-minute mile range and maybe sub tens on a 5K.
Julian's probably running 6 minute miles.
No, no, I don't think so. So I run like, no, I'm not a fast runner. I run 12 kilometers an hour. So that
I
will
don't know
be
if I could go by kilometers.
5 minutes per kilometer. So like 8 minutes
Oh,
per mile, then something like that. No, I'm
yeah.
not a
Okay.
fast runner.
Well, I'm 13. I'm at 13. So what my goal is to try to get to a 5K that I can withstand that around that 10-minute mile mark. If I can get there from she's training me on like zones with my heart rates and like I'm trying to safely get there because I'm coming off the couch. I have a ton of previous injuries that I don't want to aggravate. Like I want to get there safely and I have time. I go, let's just ramp up to this thing. I feel very good at a couple miles, 3 miles maybe of a 13-minute pace. I feel like that's totally accomplishable. Is that and I want everyone to kind of feel the same, right? I want everybody to know that this is a group running event and it's not about speed. It's just about getting going and keep going. Don't stop.
Exactly. So we have people that are slower, people that are faster, but that is not the point. The point is like to do that together, have a laugh, and then you have one more reason to have a cold drink in the evening. So
Hmm.
Yeah.
I
is
mean, a
that
runner's a runner. Doesn't matter the pace. But yeah, I
yeah.
get your question was like you want to keep up and stay with Julian. But like he
Yeah.
said, like when we went out for a run the other day, and I said, whatever you're running, I'm gonna stay with you as long as you're
Yeah.
running. So
Yeah, you don't stop. That's I think that is the most important commitment. Forget about if you ask me, the most important thing is not the pace, is the time that you keep on running. At least initially, is not about the distance, is about the time you are training. So
Yeah.
if it's 10 minutes, do it 10 minutes, but don't stop.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't feel like it. Not an option. No.
That's right. And how many people? What's the biggest running event that you've had? How many people have shown up for these 5K runs?
I think it was like this year, it was the biggest. I think we were like with 50 people or so, 50 something. So,
Nice.
so that will be your, we can measure your performance at motivating people if we are able to attract more this year.
That's right.
and
We
that's gonna
will.
be in France
Yes, it's gonna be
in
in
May.
Pau-France in May.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
You down?
Yeah.
Oh, she's very excited. Yeah.
I mean, I'm down for a run. I'm wherever, especially France. Heck yeah, I'm down.
Oh man. Yeah,
So
we're gonna work.
in France, they have these marathons. We are not going to do anything like that, where you have like a drink every, I don't know, 10 kilometers or so. And in the Champagne region, they have like, they drink champagne every 10 or so. So
I
that,
would
that,
puke.
that, that,
Oh,
that
bubbly
adds a
drink.
whole other level of difficulty, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for real. I would not want a champagne.
Yeah, I
Oh,
remember when I ran the marathon last year, people were giving out shots of liquor.
oh man.
I could not. I'm like, yeah, no, thank you. I'm okay with my pickle shots. And even that I would feel up here on my throat. So, but yes,
um I'm thinking maybe not this year in Pau France, but Schlumberger's 100-year anniversary, right? So I'm thinking, what if we did sign up, if there's people who are interested, that there's a legitimate race and the winner gets a free wireline run from Schlumberger? That'd be cool.
So So look, this kind of event like at SPWLA, I would rather keep it competition free. That is right. Is like I think is like it's too important, like for the community to
Oh
to
yeah.
try to and that, but that is my view on it.
Yeah, no, understandable.
But it will be
you
Understandable.
one
can
of these.
clearly see that he's competitive. He's a competitive
Well,
person.
now we will have a little trophy for you for getting like the higher number than this year than in participation. How about that for a winner?
There we
That's
go.
pride. You hold the pride of getting more people together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would love that. I would love that. Well, I'm excited for it. How do we stay connected to you and like the process of the run? Like, I'm very interested to see the map. You know, what kind of things are we going to be running in, and like how's it going to look in France, and how does registration work? You know, where do we follow that information?
So that I did nothing about that until now, and there is nothing to worry about. The only thing we should worry about is like marketing a bit, that people don't forget about training, and that is the kind of thing we can figure out like 2 months in advance.
Yeah.
You don't need to do a PhD on a 5 kilometer run course. So
Yeah.
don't worry. That we can easily fix. Absolutely no. If you get more peace of mind and you are good with your running, we can do that in November, let's say. But not. I don't think we should hurry very much on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm just curious on how to stay connected with that. So it's,
We
Yeah.
can, like, I mean, even if people follow each other on Strava, we can make a group and
oh, that's cool. Make an SPWLA Strava group, maybe.
yeah,
Yeah.
that would be
Good.
cool.
Good
And people
idea.
join. People
Okay.
would join and then you kind of keep up.
Are you on Strava? Sure.
Yes.
Love the idea.
That would be really good because it's easy for anybody to look up the SPWLA
Group.
running group or whatever,
And then
right?
they'll see his post, they'll see him running, me
Yeah, everybody,
running,
you
and
kind of just see everybody's
No.
um not I don't want to say performance, but like their progress. You know,
yeah.
you kind of see their mileage of the week if you want to look into that, right? Their
Sure.
mileage of the week or what they ran that day or
That would
and
be
then I think you can also comment and stuff and then
Yeah.
once we have the right when leading up until to the day of the race or the run, not race run, we can post
The
the
parkour.
course.
Yeah.
oh nice.
And then we can link it to our
Perf.
Garmin's or your watches or whatever, and you just follow your watch.
Dang. So now everybody's got the each turn by turn navigation while they're
Yeah. And
running.
it'll tell you turn left, turn right. All right. If we do put a
Now, do you put out signs or something? How do you do that in these other events?
Usually not. Usually we are running as a compact group, and we never had like that kind of challenge to be in a place that can be confusing or so.
I got
So
okay,
you.
so it's just simple. They all stay together.
I got you.
yes,
I remember
yes.
someone, and I honestly don't remember who it was, but someone mentioned at Lake Conroe, they said they got like they thought they were at the finish line, and all of a sudden the group like took left turn and it kept going. And he was like, I was just so mentally done.
Oh
And
man,
I'm
yeah.
like, golly. And then it ended like later. Anyway, I just remember that conversation.
Yeah, but that would be something we can do. We can start a
Heck yeah.
Strava group, make a Strava group, and then put it out there and see who wants to join. You'll see people joining the group.
Yeah. No,
I
that's a
like
great.
that idea. Perfect.
Does
Yes.
the registration come with the international convention registration and you just check a box and you can join the fun run and it doesn't cost money, or is it an additional fee?
No, there is no additional fee. The only limitation it was like the number of T-shirts that are available, like free T-shirts.
Okay, first
So
come, first serve, maybe.
yes, yes. So that's why. But in principle, we did that on paper, right? Sharon at registration, like as people will come, they will say, "Oh, I want to join the run." Then she will add up, and then, of course, you can do that electronically. But I will not like to do that when people are registering and then they don't show up for the run.
Yeah.
So I want them to look at Sharon or at me and promise, yeah, I'll be there. So
Yeah. That's right. Wow. Well, I'm definitely excited about it. I appreciate you putting it on and kind of being that inspiration for the community. It's a big deal, and I think I really do think it's going to have an impact on how good the conversations are and the questions are and the engagement at the convention that day after people exhaust themselves in the morning and kind of sweat out whatever they're thinking of and all the little things that they're worried about back at the office or at home or whatever it is. Just get out on a run, sweat it out with all of us. We're all here to just engage on this content for today, and let's just get in there with clear mind and energy and focus. I'm really excited about that.
I'm very happy to hear that. And we will, when we are done with the podcast, I will start harassing you. So we make a plan on that you are going to promise to follow. So
Consider it done. Consider it done. Well, let's get into the completion part of the PBE podcast. This is where we talk about a little bit more of what you see as a future in industry, what you see as a future of you as a consultant, future of SPWLA, right? Where do you want to begin? You want to talk a little bit about what you're doing as a consultant?
Oh, we can do that. Yes. So as a consultant now, it's a little bit of a funny position, right? I mean, I've never been in this situation before where I have to find work myself, right? And it's a little bit difficult for me because I don't know what kind of jobs or positions you guys have, but to me, it's sometimes when I try to reach out to people and say, look, I'm doing this, and if you have a problem with this, please think of me. That feels a little bit like begging, and that
Ah,
that that is a little bit. I have to learn it. It's not really begging, but still in
yeah.
my mind it feels like that. But my so when I decided to leave Shell, one of the reasons it was that the life was too comfortable. So I wanted to do something new. I wanted to do something challenging, learn something, and I thought, how many chances do you have in your life to reinvent yourself? Now, this is it. So I the first thing I did, it was like to make a web page. So I have my own web page, petrophysics.eu, and in there, of course, you can have a look at like what am I offering. Like, I am not the usual petrophysicist, the log analyst. I'm more like the kind of guy that brings more stuff together and is the one that is going to agonize over making sure that what you put in the model is in the model, of
Wow.
interrogating, trying to get it back. So there will be, and so integration and that kind of stuff. Of the specialized skills that I'm bringing, one of them is redeterminations. So unitization is redeterminations is something that you in the US don't suffer a lot from, because in the US you have the rule of capture. So for example, who drills the well and gets the hydrocarbon is his. But in the rest of the world, or in most of the rest of the world, when a reservoir straddles a reservoir boundary, the government will come and say, before we develop this, you need to figure out with the guys on the other side of the boundary who owns what. And that will
Oh,
be
wow.
unitization and redeterminations. So,
Okay.
and that is a very precise and it's a sum zero game. That's the point. When somebody wins something, somebody loses something. So that makes it a little bit combative. So I love that part of the job.
Wow.
Now, as customers, I am working with a little company called EPS Log. Like right now, they are a company in Belgium. They offer all kind of services, new type of core measurements, and I love that part. They are good guys, and I see a bright future in what they do. Then I have another project with a company here in the Netherlands, EBN. So, and then I have research projects with like all kind of people around the world. So I'm very busy, and I'm
Wow.
happy. I'm happy to be busy. But yeah, uh, this part of entrepreneurship where you have to find the work is still not a second nature to me. I still find it a little bit uncomfortable. So, but
Oh, very, very.
Self-employment, yeah.
Yeah, been in that world since 2019 for us. You know, we sold everything we had, left oil and gas industry to pursue the research institute and a nonprofit. And man, COVID hits and entrepreneurship was like, what in the world are we
mm,
doing here? And yeah, reinventing yourself, man. That's incredibly inspiring. I'm sure that lands on the ears of many folks that still have a lot of career left. And are you wanting to continue what you're doing and where you're at for the next 10 years of your career or whatever it is, or do you want to step out and reinvent yourself? And you've obviously made a decision and a choice on that.
yeah. So the way I envisage it right now, I cannot see myself retiring. I'm not that type of person. I need this kind of mental engagement and entertainment. If I'm paid or not for it, that is a whole other story. But being engaged and working on problems that I find meaningful, is the most important thing for me. I can tell you something else. In one point, I don't know, have probably you don't know what perching is.
Mm-mm.
So in reservoirs, sometimes water can be a lot higher in parts of the reservoir where it should be. And it's because it gets trapped there. It doesn't matter how and so. But there was a lot of talking. Oh, how does this happen? Like a lot of people speculating. And then once, after a run in the cold shower, I had this idea. Yeah, this is how you fix it. This is how you prove it. So, and then I learned how to do dynamic simulations, and that's the way to prove it, not through static petrophysics, but through reservoir engineering. So you see, sometimes I will work on a problem for years and I will not see any solution, and then suddenly, yeah. But that's the part I like about this industry and this kind of jobs. There are always problems to be resolved, and they are not trivial. So
Right.
that's what keeps me engaged.
So yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. You kind of struck a nerve with me on one the purging. You called it purging, right? Purging.
Perching is perching. Perch, like sitting on an
Oh,
elevated position.
perching,
Yes,
perching,
yes.
perching. Okay. I was going with the idea that what you're talking about is contributing the technical understanding and actual changes in reality out in actual application to sustain a more reliable, a more predictable outcome for oil and gas operators around the world, which is the foundation of our comfort for humans. Is it's the foundation of energy. It's the foundation of so much that we do as people across outside the industry. Just as a whole, the industry is supporting this infrastructure we have and this ability to move forward, and what new future energies might come. It's going to be based on how good we are at managing this that we have already, which is the oil and gas industry, which is what you're contributing to. So I find that fascinating. What do you think, and just a real off the top of your head, what do you think's the realistic energy transition outcome in the next 20, 40, 50 years for humanity?
I think the relative fraction of renewables is going to grow, but in places like Northern Europe, or let's say where places where the winter hits harder, you are not going to be able to resolve it with only wind, and so I think there's still going to be a future for hydrocarbons, but the relative fraction is a little bit of a puzzle to me. I don't know. And then on top of that, you still have nuclear, and has been playing a role. It is going to play a role, but I also see that one with a little bit of a warning. What happens at the next disaster, right? You had the
Yeah,
Chernobyl, you had Fukushima. Only naive people think that that is not going to happen again. It's
right.
just a new kind of disaster, but it is, if you ask me, it's inevitable. If you make a nuclear power plant that is failure free, that is guaranteed not to happen, that is not an economical plant. So now,
Yeah, no, that's right. There's reality in this discussion, and that's exactly what
yeah,
you're pinpointing there.
yes.
How about AI? What do you see the future of integrating artificial intelligence, machine learning in what we're doing for the next 20, 40 years? We're trying to manage these reservoirs better. Let's not blow the gas cap off it and just rush the production. We need this to last. We need to manage these resources better. Where do you see the benefits or the potential pitfalls of AI and machine learning in our industry?
So I use AI more or less on a daily basis. So ever since I left my job, I started a little bit more intense on Claude, and I saw it evolve, and it scares me every day. Now it has reached a point that it's like I'm when I feel I'm hopeless. In the past, I used to find all kind of solutions to think how did I fix this problem in the past, and now all I do I'm asking how exactly do I fix this bug, and that is something that worries me because I know it reduces my sharpness. I mean, I'm talking as an individual.
Sure.
You might think of yourself as being smart, but if that property doesn't get challenged often enough, it's obviously is going to decay, and the AI use is just going to push you on that path. I see that at myself. So that will be one of the things that worries me. On the positive side, of course, the power of integration of these things is absolutely amazing. It's absolutely it is brutal and it's shocking to see how it evolves. However, without the human supervision, I think there is going to be bigger and bigger problems. So it's a little bit of a trade-off, but
Yeah.
obviously the managers, like the people in big companies that manage their stuff in Excel, when they see the percentage of AI adoption, they are on the wrong track. They do not understand how a problem is going to appear and how it's going to ruin whatever they are doing.
Yeah.
So
What are your thoughts on SPWLA as an international organization? The student chapters are growing in other countries. We talked about that at Lake Conroe, right? We're seeing Chinese and specifically, but I think there were some others, South America. You know, student
Brazil.
chapters are really increasing, and so that's maybe a metric that shows that this tipping point of this decline in interest of energy and all this thing is actually coming back. We see the reality that it's not going anywhere. It's supporting the transition to whatever this new way of energy that might be coming. It's supporting it, and universities are going all in around the world to help develop the young professionals to understand petrophysics more. Like that's so exciting. And SPWLA is talking about, you know, geothermal applications and lithium in exploration and, you know, these other alternative forms of energy. So we are diversifying as an organization more from just oil and gas, but we're seeing the growth in student chapters. How do you see the future of the SPWLA next 5 years, 10 years? What can it be doing better to continue this growth and support the scale of the growth?
So SPWLA, if you are looking a little bit around, it does have a little bit of a demographic problem. The average age is quite high. The one thing that has to be highlighted is that in the West, we have a problem. In the West, through all this, like you might call it propaganda or whatever you want to call it, nobody wants to study relevant things to the oil and gas anymore because it's dirty. Where do people still study? Where there is interest in oil and gas, like Brazil. So I don't know if that is going to be enough to compensate for the transition that is coming. But one thing that worries me is the average age. You see that there are lots of people that I don't know if in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, they are just going to disappear.
Wow.
Are the new people going to do that? I am not so sure. I'm not so sure. Again, because in the West, we don't have students, right? I mean, okay, it's an exaggeration. We don't have, but like percentually, the students we have in the West versus in Brazil or in other vibrant places, it's insignificant.
Wow.
And again, is this madness of oil and gas is dirty? It has to be stopped. And yeah, one thing that people don't realize is like, in order to do your job in this industry and to be good at what you do, you don't need to study geology. You just need to be critical thinking. So there is always the potential to get people from other branches. So, but right now there is no desire to get those people.
Wow.
In the Netherlands, you know, you have one of the biggest gas fields in the Western Europe. And because
Really?
of the earthquakes, so there were earthquakes and problems, so the government decided to shut that one in. So the Groningen field has been shut in. Now,
Wow.
yeah. So and that one it has been like the engine, one important engine for the Dutch economy. So there are all these signs, right? Oil and gas is bad. We are going to close Groningen. Yeah, it's so
Wow. Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. I think, you know, one thing we're trying to do, and we're hoping to get a 12-month run on this, is the media hub, right? Where we get to go out and record conversations with the active students of the student chapters around the world from the SPWLA, and we're trying to connect them with a list of mentors who are in the SPWLA, who you're talking about, the older generation that actually helps the students. Are you doing something that's impactful or not? You know, what are you talking about, something that's really impactful or not? So we're gonna force that integration. We're gonna attempt to do this, a forced integration with these kinds of platforms where we're doing podcasts and we're talking about it, but we have the ability to leverage AI and machine learning, and we can try to get the knowledge and wisdom from the older generation on these shows and in this content engaged with the younger generation, so that we could try to bridge this knowledge gap, this experience gap, and where are we going to take this thing? We need new leaders to come forward that are younger and see that 40-50 year vision of a career in petrophysics and to support energy as a whole, and how and all of it. So we're going to pursue that. I don't know, does that seem like an exciting part of how to actually leverage AI and machine learning in this? What do you think?
We can try that. So now let me tell you something else. I am part of the special interest group in education. What you just said is part of our plan as well, to establish a mentorship program. But mentorship program not only for the students, for whoever is looking for a resource, I don't know, a body or somebody that has the knowledge in a special field. So now, look, the AI is just a tool, Troy, and that is something. Please don't forget that the most important, let's say, asset an individual has is his critical thinking.
Yeah.
And that I cannot stress enough. Like being when Claude provides you a little snippet, you know, and if you're not asking why does this work and the one before didn't,
Wow.
I think that is a little bit of a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So, but all these tools change. But yeah, critical thinking is going to be staying there. But that is to be trained, and that's I'm quite proud to be part of an organization where we have like those presentations, and when the presentation is over, it's not always, oh great, fantastic. No, there will be some people like me that say, what, I don't think so.
Yeah, that's right. That's
So
right. Thank God for that.
yeah, critical thinking, that's something I really, really believe in.
Yep.
That is what brings you further.
Dr. Palencia said the same thing in Lake Como. We did a podcast with her, and she said it's critical thinking. It's all about that. It's we want to welcome AI, machine learning. We want to welcome all this stuff in, but don't forget critical thinking amongst all of it. That's the overarching kind of concept that you got to have when you're approaching the AI, when you're trying to find solutions and all that. You got to be critical in your approach to it, and so that's fascinating. You're echoing something that was, I thought was pretty profound for guidance on that, with us that are trying to use it and leverage it and make better decisions with it. So, man, I think we have come to the end of the PBE podcast as far as the completion segment with Iulian. You have anything else you want to specifically mention, or if we passed over anything?
No, not. Oh yeah, the last thing that I wanted to say is, oh yeah, you gotta check my web page, and on the front, I made a joke there. So anyway, you go and check that on petrophysics.eu. It's
Okay.
about there is something that irritates the hell out of me. People that come and say, I have 25 years of experience. And
Yeah.
I'm always like, what does that mean? Am I supposed to understand that years of employment equal capability? What exactly are you trying to say? And then I made the analogy between that one and the subscription length at the gym as a proxy for the fitness level. So anyway, go and check
Okay.
that one out.
That's pretty good.
So
Well, I certainly enjoyed the last couple of hours, right, of being on this show, getting prepared for this show. I'm very honored to share time with you and have Joselynn as a co-host in this episode. Thank you so much for just sharing your story and being a part of the SPWLA.
thank you very much for your time and interest. Thanks again.
Yeah, and I can't wait to officially meet you in person.
Oh, it will
That's
be
how
my
we.
honor. I will, I
I,
will, I will be thrilled. And we have a drink for a social event then. Yeah.
absolutely. Cheers.
After the run.
Before and after.